So, Roman, the other day I was saying to you, I don't know why this kind of came across my mind, but that there's people who seem to never get sick, or at least they tell you that they don't.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe some from older generations could get away with that probably because they had fresh air, raw milk, they ate better, all that kind of thing,
Yeah.
despite all the craziness they might have
Only two
endured.
vaccines, not 72.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it made me think, are there people really out there that don't truly get sick
And
anymore?
that's when I asked you, I said, well, which people? Who is that? Do you know anybody?
Anybody? I'm sure you've all
Uh,
said before, well, I never got sick.
yeah. Well, and that was my theory was, after thinking about it, because I know a couple people,
Mm.
maybe like two people, and one of them may be a liar. And the other one is,
We won't name names.
yeah, he's a pretty famous podcaster, health coach, and I believe him because he's constantly putting
Yeah.
content out. But my theory is, well, maybe just a lot of people, it's not that they're not sick, it's just that they're always sick, just very low level sick, right? Like low
Yeah.
levels of energy, lack of zest in life.
So they don't know the
They
difference
don't know the difference,
between
right?
like that is their norm, so they don't feel.
Yeah,
Although I would argue if that's their norm, then they probably would be getting sick more often
yeah,
because of
true.
stress and such that's brought on, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you're chronic low level stress all the time, then you probably would be getting sick
Mm.
a lot more often.
And this whole conversation came about because, well, I got sick, believe it or not. And, the last time I was sick was years ago. And I always used to pride myself and never get sick, never get sick. But I was doing a conference in Phoenix, indoors for 4 days, 12 hours a day, in a hotel room, an 11th story high rise in a major building, a smart hotel to top that off. So, just an environment that I used to live in over 10 years ago, and that's when I felt like crap. And I said, "Wow, is this how like I used to feel all the time? Like not that bad, but it was just
Yeah.
such a shock to my system, and it really opened my eyes to, well, this is what a lot of people deal with. And I know a lot of our subscribers tend to be on the healthier side, but still, I mean, a lot of I shouldn't even say that, right? We don't know. We're all from
Right.
different walks of life, but I know we're
Right.
we're health conscious, I should say. So
Mhm.
when something like that happens, we have the awareness to see what's really going on and get that perspective. And then you got sick, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was just from days and days of
Yes, not enough good sleep. And I knew that, and it was unfortunately the rush to wrap up the year, and getting ready to fly out to Phoenix to spend some time here, and then yeah, the immune system crashed despite my best efforts, and I think had I probably not flown, I may have turned things around and it would have been fine, but that's, I think, part of the point is
yeah,
that we are so overwhelmed these days all the time with all kinds of environmental stressors, all kinds. And to the point that you made about what you experienced, it'd be like taking, one of our ancestors or somebody who's and in today's day and age is probably very difficult to find, but there are some people who still live very remotely in the world and plopping them into the middle of New York City
right,
with an onslaught of everything. So,
right,
you you practically live and work outside all the time as much as possible. Both of us do, but you more so. And the exposure that we have to EMFs and dirty electricity in our environment is more controlled.
right,
You were kind of thrown into the lion's den in
yeah,
Phoenix,
yeah,
and it was a great example of how those invisible frequencies and stressors can impact us.
mhm,
Um, and I made that point too once that when we were up north at a cabin, no Wi-Fi, whole week, nothing. and then came into civilization to a mall area where there was a cell tower. And all of a sudden, I turned to you and said, I have this really anxious, tight feeling in my chest. Like, what
Right.
is going on? Right. And we've
Yeah.
mentioned that before, that that's how you can
Tell.
tell that there's
Yeah.
an impact on your body. So you went through the same thing, but a little more extreme. And I guess that's the point of today's episode, is that we want to bring that up again to your attention, and to talk about how we can help you to mitigate all those stressors that we
Mhm.
encounter in our environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And your family, because, so many people say, well, we feel fine, or, I'm not sick, or, this generation is okay. Maybe not, you guys say that, but, there's no reference point. Like you said, 100 years ago,
Hmm.
people were baling 100-pound things of hay off for 10 hours, right? And,
Right.
now, a 15-year-old can barely lift a cast iron pan. So,
Mm.
what is fine, what is healthy. We don't know until we feel feel good, right? Sometimes we don't know how
Right.
sick we were until we feel healthy, and that is an unknown, right? And
Right. But
but
which was the
we
case
yeah,
for both of
for
us.
both of us, yeah. So you know, we know most of you are all health conscious. I should say all of you, because if you wouldn't be listening to
Doing
us.
podcast.
And happy 2026, by the way. We really appreciate your support, and this year is going to be a pivotal year for humanity, and that's why we really want to get our message out there. And we know many of you eat real food without chemicals. You maybe filter your water. You look for and apply natural cosmetics. You avoid toxic pesticides. You probably don't use sunscreen. But there's one toxin that, let's face it, we're all exposed to daily, and that's the EMF. That's electro-pollution. And that's from our visible and invisible light environment. And, so many people will tell us, well, I'm surrounded by all this technology and electronics. What choice do I have? What can I do? Right? So many of us are overwhelmed. And, we used to feel the exact same way. But we found that we could take these small baby steps uh, to control our environment each
Mhm.
day. And that's really what made a difference, I believe, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a psychological empowerment standpoint of forming this new environment for yourself. Like, even trying to work outside more, right? It's more
Mhm.
mentally
Mhm.
uh, refreshing, should say. So,
And from the psychological perspective too, stop making excuses, because
yeah.
I know I used to make excuses for my health, absolutely, before I, of course, understood too what was going on at the root of it. But things like, well, you know, for example, some chronic diseases, or things like ADHD that seems to be on
Mm,
every corner, and
yeah.
everybody has ADHD now. Um, that the argument, and one that I stated as well, was, well, we just didn't know about it as much before. It was probably always there, and now I think that's total bullshit. Call myself out on that. Yes, because what we didn't have before was, again, all of these environmental stressors that we have taken on since the Industrial Revolution, but especially in these last couple of decades with
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all the different G's.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, we can't, but again, that's where the excuses are built in, that, well, how can it harm me? It's fine. You don't see the damage it's creating.
Mhm. But 10 years ago, you were in survival mode. Both of us think we're in survival mode,
We
and you
were.
didn't have a chance to even ask those questions, right?
Yep.
You didn't even want to ask those questions because you're suffering, right?
Yep.
So, what were some of those first lessons you think you learned 10 years ago when you
Right.
were in the darkest of bleakest health?
Yes, you can certainly say that. That was my rock bottom. For any listeners that are new to the show and don't know the story, I'll just give you a quick recap. I had essentially a huge crash and burn out, which I originally thought was as a result of doing too much. We had been preparing for our wedding, honeymoon. Roman was moving to Canada, um, and all kinds of various stress factors. And I also believed it was a relapse in my mental health because I had been on SSRIs for 14 years for my depression, and or quote unquote depression. And what had happened was that I felt I had done a lot of work on myself, personal work, to mitigate some of the stressors. For example, the perfectionism, the control elements, that kind of thing, right? So I thought I had done some really great work, which I did. I did, not to discount that. And so I thought, okay, now I am ready to come off
Mm.
the SSRI. It was Paxil. And during our honeymoon, I just fell apart completely. We had to cut it short, came back, and of course was put on more meds, because I had come off fairly slowly, but obviously in the end it wasn't good enough. So I thought, yeah, my mental health had relapsed. It got even worse. And at that point, it was the critical decision to make, just stay with the status quo,
Mm.
and continue on the drugs, continue feeling like a zombie. I didn't feel right in my own skin.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that was tough.
yeah, and I was just numbing myself on TV because I couldn't stop the chatter in my head, blame myself for everything. Like I just didn't want to participate in life very much. And thankfully, Roman is my hero.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
you still save yourself.
yeah.
I helped you.
But he started looking into alternatives because at that point I didn't have the mental
Yeah.
capacity to do that, and nor did I probably believe
Yeah.
in it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Yeah.
So it's a long story,
Yeah.
long, but essentially that's what happened. Now we understand too that what I had been going through was not a relapse in my mental health, but withdrawal from the SSRI, which I was informed by my doctor afterwards that, oh, yes, well, Paxil is one of the most difficult ones to get off.
Mm.
Again, that's a whole other conversation about informed consent. And even though it was the worst time in my life up to that
Mm.
point, it was truly a gift for both of us because it started our journey down a completely different path in health,
Mm.
which ultimately ended up healing us, and we're
Yeah.
we're still healing. But I'm going to be 47 this February,
Yeah.
gonna be 45, and we are at our healthiest we've ever been.
Mhm.
And so this is the spark that got us into creating our business. Because to answer your original question, what did we start with? Well, a lot of things weren't important, but what was getting out into the fresh air, into the sunlight, moving my body, which let me tell you, when it was January, February in Canada, there was no incentive to get out there.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Roman, my parents too, would get me up
Mhm.
outside. But what was this doing? It sounds so simple. How could this possibly help you when you're at your rock bottom in life? Well, it was resetting my circadian rhythm, which was completely out of whack. And something that we didn't even ever consider because we grew up in the indoor culture,
Yeah.
right? It's normal to flick on your lights at night and be out and under artificial light, watching TV, whatever it is, until the wee hours of the morning. And I was a horrible sleeper, always
Mhm.
trying then catch up on my sleep in the morning.
Yeah.
So that was completely off.
Yeah, you're stuck in a cycle, and
Very bad
you
cycle.
get the dopamine hit from the TV screen that'd wake you up. Just like they're promoting a lot of bright light therapy now.
Mm,
Yeah, that's great. Why don't you just get outside, right? Because you're not, getting to the root of the issue. But anyway,
right,
yeah.
exactly. Well, and that was it. That was where we were starting to get to the root of the issue. So, and then of course, the exposure to the good EMFs of sunlight.
Hmm.
Again, something that we all take for granted, but our ancestors, well, that's how they lived.
Yeah, they
That's
didn't
the
have a
cycle
choice.
of life,
Yeah.
of every day, of every season, right? So much of that has been forgotten, and we've taken a deep dive into that ancestral wisdom.
Resurrected it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's a long
Yeah.
answer to your question, but that's where we got started. And that then created a domino effect of addressing our nutrition, which wasn't top notch yet. And we're
Mm.
still learning about it. And it fascinates me too, because it
Yeah.
really is food is medicine. And the movement and the exposure to cold and nature, again, all things that are free.
Hmm.
And then, of course, understanding how we are surrounded with EMFs that are detrimental to our health, all of the invisible stuff.
Yeah, and that was something that came after the fact. We had this thing with the circadian rhythm, sunlight, just getting it out of our deep dark hole. And but when I stumbled upon Dr. Jack Cruz, I started learning about what was happening with EMF, and Arthur Furstenberg, who we connected with. He and taught me some things, and now other mentors that we've had on our podcast, like Paul Harding. We just keep going more deeper and deeper, but we've learned so much. And the 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 point is, well, there's 2 points. Is that number one, you couldn't have done that, you know, and not to toot my own horn, but if it wasn't for the support, right,
Yep,
of me, of your parents, and we
absolutely.
all need support in this journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? No man or woman is an island. So that's the first point. And the second thing, like what I was just mentioning with the invisible light, is we need to remember that 99% of all light is invisible. So that's what's overwhelming, but it means that there's so much impact we can make with our environment, because most of it is what we don't see. But the counterintuitive thing is we can still make a huge impact because it comprises so much of what we don't see. So yeah, we found out that basically, the radiation from our cell phones was just the tip of the iceberg. And, there were a lot of wireless frequencies in our home. It really started with the smart meter and the invasion of privacy, and which is a battle that we're still fighting now in Arizona. But we've had a lot of victories in that regard, which has been inspiring. But all this catapulted us to take action, right? But first we needed to understand what visible and invisible light from EMF was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we finally understood that, that's why we couldn't focus like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
We got frustrated at the dinner table,
Right.
even the
Yep, the
smallest comment.
irritability, absolutely. And feeling drained, right? That was my biggest thing, feeling drained, low energy, the interrupted sleep, of course, and just not feeling calm in an environment that should be our sanctuary.
Hmm.
And that was huge to understand that, because again, we've blurred those lines very much in today's day and age,
Hmm.
when if you think about it, and again, ancestral ways, you slept and you were intimate in your
Yeah,
in your bedroom area or whatever it might have been. I mean, sometimes they were
yeah,
like one room houses.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, depending
yeah,
how far back you go and what era, and
yeah.
anyways, uh, but that's what it should still be for today. But we have introduced electronics, TVs,
Yeah. Well,
computers,
yeah, we used to eat
all of that.
pizza and watch TV,
Yeah,
right?
that was my idea.
Yeah, yeah, that was your idea. Yeah.
Want to be cozy in bed, watch movies, and eat pizza. We only did that once though.
Yeah. But our point is we don't want you to make the mistakes that we once made.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shortcuts we tried to take. We bought these pendants. Some of them may or may not have worked, probably not. We did hire a building biologist, and he came in, and that was kind of I'm happy I did it, and I'm happy we started learning about it. But he knew less than I did, and not that I'm a know-it-all, but he was just saying things that later on I verified, and that he was contradicting things. And so that was an experience. And we understand you have to trust somebody, right? You could hire us to be your coach, and we may say something incorrectly. But the point is, we've been doing this now for well, close to 8 years, been learning about EMF. And so we've done a lot of research, and we've made the mistakes so you don't have to. And so we can help you, right? And that's the good news is you don't need to spend all these countless hours scrolling the internet because we've already done it for like thousands of hours. So, so the premise of this podcast is, to really inspire you to take action, work with us, and we know everybody's situation is different, but we want to tell you about the benefits of coaching that, well, we wish we would have had 8 years ago. And I think, the biggest benefit, and we're going to list a few, but is that it collapses time, right? So you can get your goals faster, those health goals, whatever they are, right? And, we're not, doctors that know every single thing, but we
But
can,
doctors know every single thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Or we're not all kinds of doctors that know every little thing. We're not, but we can send you down the right path. We've also built a huge network of other professionals that we know with our podcast and with our business. So if we
Exactly.
can't find the answer, we'll send you to them. And again, we verified and trusted them as well. And what's the second benefit you think, Bohdanna?
Well, part of it is, of course, why do New Year's resolutions fail? Well, there's, of course, all kinds of theories about that. Yeah, I'm going to stick to this diet. Well, because there's often no accountability. Like you said, there's that support factor. One, we understand what you're going through. And two, we understand how important it is to have that accountability. Again, I wasn't working with a coach. I was working with Roman, but he sure did hold me accountable. And we still to this day hold each other accountable for sticking with some of our health goals or practices, because it's so easy to fall back into the old routine, which we understand. We absolutely do. So accountability is huge, I believe, in getting yourself started and into that good mm, habit forming way of life, especially if there's a lot of reforms that you want to make.
Mhm. Yeah, and I wasn't the only coach. I mean, you've been around
Yes,
coaches, and you've done coaching programs, and
start off.
yeah, yeah, to start off, yeah. So
My coach.
yeah, but I know, it's like going to the gym, right? I miss that, not having a gym buddy anymore. I mean, that's when I was in the best shape, physically, I should say, right? And I was, yeah, too much in shape and started breaking down. But we need that accountability. Yeah, so the next benefit I'd say is that we help you track your progress, and I believe that progress keeps us motivated.
Hmm.
When we see those changes happening,
Absolutely.
it's just something that propels us, right? We got to keep it fun, got to keep things moving forward. Otherwise, you know, it's not fun anymore. So you don't want to do
Hmm.
it, right? You don't want to do the work. Like, if you don't see yourself sculpting abs in front of the mirror and you keep putting on fat, or you keep sleeping terribly, right? And feeling sluggish all the time, well, you're not going to want to do it. And we've had wins with people that, their energy level has gotten better, their back issues have lessened, their digestion's improved. And these are all things that are very, they're inspiring, again, it keeps you on that good roller coaster or
Absolutely. And
hamster wheel.
And with progress, like you mentioned too, sometimes it usually is, not sometimes, but usually it's small increments of progress, where we might not see it, but that third party, us, your
Mm,
coach, will see it and remind you of it and to keep
mm,
pushing you forward. Because, yes, I mean, I didn't go from feeling like total crap and not wanting to live to the way I am today. I mean, yes, and that was a more extreme situation, I'd say.
mm,
And it's been over several years, but there was a marked difference from my worst point to then a year later, where I was already now able to once again take on a job, uh, be part of society,
yeah.
sleeping better. So it's a really important aspect of the coaching, is that
Mm.
accountability and showing you that progress that you're making.
So, how do we get you there? Well, there's a few aspects, and again, everybody's different. We tailor our services to whatever you need, but I'm going to list off a few.
Hmm.
Um, well, we create a sleep sanctuary, right? Sleep is number one. We spend most of our lives sleeping, or hopefully, we help you understand what sleep is and what it isn't. What are some of the myths that we've discovered? Our sleep has definitely improved, and recently it's gotten really good.
Yeah.
Let's count our blessings there. Uh,
And that's a huge thing too in today's day and age. What was it in 2023? It was one of the most Googled questions of how to get better sleep. So
wow,
obviously it's an
wow,
issue for many of
absolutely.
us, and we know why.
Yeah, so we'll help you create that sleep sanctuary. And again, we do in-person stuff, or consultations, I should say, but we can guide you virtually as well. Uh, and sleep is where we harness our body's innate electrical current. And again, it's very related to EMF in our environment, so we'll help you reduce that, help you reduce inflammation by eliminating dirty electricity or reducing it, which is a class 2B carcinogen. And we can help you discover hidden sources of EMF, which a lot of our past students and clients and subscribers, they're blown away when they consider or they find out what's around them. We have these smart meters that most of us, let's face it, don't want to deal with, but we know, oh, we hope that they're not, but usually they are.
Yeah.
So we help people find resources there where they can potentially opt out.
One of our former students for our EMF 101 course
Yeah,
found, what was it, 32
32 or something.
sources
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
of EMF that he had no idea, going
yeah.
through Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, that kind of thing.
And then we can help guide you on how to find these fields and these devices using the right kind of meter. There's tons of meters out there. Most of them are cheap and crap, but we can send you over to the right resources there and get you a discount on that as well. So you don't have to spend more money than you need to on that. And then we also help create healthier boundaries, right?
Mhm.
We can help you and your family, so these devices don't run your life. Like we had that consultation with
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 our,
your friend.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was the parents who proactively wanted to learn more about EMFs, and it was a family meeting. And one of the kids,
yeah,
even his best friend, was pulled in, said, "You're sitting down and listening
yeah,
to this."
yeah.
And
Teenage boys.
but they were very good. And so we were able to present to them um, a great synopsis of EMFs in our environment, layman's terms. And then we went around the house and did an assessment as well. And one of the young
Boys.
teens,
He had his own
he
meter.
had
He
his
was going
neighbors walking
around.
around, and
Yeah,
so it meant something to them
yeah.
too, right? It's
Got him
not
involved.
theoretical. So we do a wide range of supportive programming that way.
And we also can help you hardwire your home as consultants over Zoom or in person, of course, how best to run data cable. A lot of us have fiber, and many of us who have fiber are experiencing health issues because of this. And so we'll advise people on what to do in that case. And we just help you avoid pitfalls and common mistakes that people make when hardwiring. And then there's nutrition.
Mhm. So you think, well, that's kind of all these EMF topics and then nutrition, but it does go hand in hand. And of course, nutrition is very important. I mean, the basis of the way we approach health is getting back to the basics of health. So that does include the sun exposure, being outside, but then also our movement and nutrition, right? So it all goes hand in hand. And Lord knows that it is a labyrinth, a minefield to navigate out there with different
Mhm.
diet fads. And this is good for you, and now this isn't good for you. And,
Mhm.
you know, so this was a major part also of our
Mhm.
health revolution, and some things that we've picked up along the way that have really been game changers for us. And again, it's about getting back to the basics. So we can offer you guidance on what's in your cupboards, what we need to get rid of, how we need to approach the nutrition.
And it's all from the angle too of EMF again, because
Yes.
some foods make us more electrically sensitive. Some foods even help us burn less in the sun or create a better tan, right? So we do take it from a holistic standpoint. It's not just like we're Googling 10 superfoods and we're saying what to eat.
No, certainly not.
We've done. And also want to make an important note too, with all the age verification and censorship happening online as well as Substack, we will be moving this more over to our private website, private newsletter. So please, if you want to get in touch, send us an email to info@thepowercouple.ca. We work with clients to create a unique and individualized program, as we mentioned, right? It's all everybody's different. Everybody's health needs are different, and
Mhm.
age is different. So and the environments we live in are different. We understand that, and our financial situations are different. So we get that too, and we're willing to work with you as your needs need to be met.
Exactly. I think one of the greatest things that I learned in this health journey is that I am now open to I have a very open mind to new things, new concepts. And I think that's what holds us back so often from our goals and getting healthier. It's like I mentioned before, the excuses. Well, I can't do this, or I can't afford this, or I'm too old, why bother? If your health is important to you, your family's health, then stop listening to those excuses and reach out. You have absolutely nothing to lose, only, your health to gain.
Mhm. Well said. Well, listen, everyone. Thank you for listening. And yeah, please get in touch with us. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for all your support and for helping make this world a better, healthier place in 2026.
Let's do it together.
And we are,
The power couple.
more powerful than we know. Okay. All right.
We'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.